So I have an unhinged theory, right? And I know this sounds crazy. I know this sounds mad, but just hear me out for a second. To give a little bit of backstory, right? Last year in September, I had back surgery. Trigger warning if you're squeamish, but look, it's like this, right? I don't know if you can see that. I had sciatica. I had these 2 herniated discs in my back. I was in excruciating pain all the time. I had pain for about 10 years and I used to be able to manage it with like working out and all this kind of stuff. But eventually, one day, pain got worse and I tried to get it sorted. And when I say the pain got bad, I mean it would wake me up at night. It was excruciating. What made it more difficult is if I sat down too long, it would get worse. If I was standing too long, it would get worse. If I was lying down too long, it would get worse. And so I had to have surgery. Kind of funny actually, because after what took, I don't know, like a year and a half, 2 years of like trying to diagnose exactly what the problem was, my doctor said to me, very Danish way, he went, yeah, so you have 2 discus prolapse and 1 is big and the other is much bigger, with not like the slightest hint of irony or anything like that, which made me laugh but isn't the point. Besides the pain that I was going through, the thing that bothered me the most, it wasn't just that it was difficult to walk, it was embarrassing, because I didn't walk, I waddled. I would kind of walk, I would walk like I shit myself, really. That's what it looked like. It looked like I shit myself. So I'd walk kind of like this. You see in Planet of the Apes, you know Caesar, the way that the monkeys walk with their like kind of back, kind of like this, and they're like butt facing directly down, and they're just there, just like, oh, 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 oh. But the only way to manage that kind of waddle situation was to kind of roll with it. So you have to like kind of lean with it. You have to roll around what you're doing. And when you roll with it, you kind of end up doing this kind of bop type thing. If you ever played GTA San Andreas, like the old game where they would walk like kind of like this, you kind of end up doing this kind of walk. So I had this thought, right? How does that come about? I guess it looks cool, but that's only looking cool now. Kind of occurred to me. I live in Denmark, great healthcare, free, all this kind of stuff. And not everyone is so lucky. Specifically, Americans, just in general, their healthcare is a travesty, and especially for the poor, specifically for the poor. And who is disproportionately represented by the poor? Obviously, people of color, you know, black people. So in my mind, it's not that much of a leap for someone to kind of come to the same conclusion that I did, which is kind of you have to just roll with it. And another side effect, there are a lot of emotions that are associated with this kind of pain. Firstly, just absolute frustration. I was angry all the time. I was so irritable. The other one was a kind of fear, because I felt unsafe. I'm a tall dude, I'm well built. Like usually I can walk around with confidence, or at least even when I had the pain, before it got really severe, I felt like I could kind of defend myself. I could always run away. But when you feel like you can't run away, because I mean, you can't fucking, like kind of, fuck it, it doesn't work, right? Imagine this, you're some random like black you in America and you have this pain in your back and you need to like waddle because there's no one that you can see. I believed it was genetic to some point, so I didn't think that there was a solution, and then someone else pointed out to me that there could be a solution. But imagine if you didn't know that there could be, you didn't know surgery was an option, or even if surgery was an option, you couldn't afford it. Well, you just got to live with it, you got to roll with it. And also, if you are in an impoverished area, then you are also probably in a more dangerous area, somewhere where you need to be able to defend yourself. You just become a target, right? So you have to like kind of style it out. You have to be like you start kind of, you know, like trying to roll with it and trying to like kind of like look tough when you're kind of doing this thing, you know what I mean? Even though realistically it's this, or again, walk like you shit yourself. The disc herniation can happen to anyone at any age, for any reason. When you are damaged, people generally like to kind of victim blame and point out like, oh, what did you do? I didn't do nothing. I mean, I did do a bunch of stupid shit, but in this case, we don't really know where it happened. It could have been when I fell out a tree, it could have been when I was fighting. It doesn't matter. The point is, well, then the logic is, if this could happen to many people at many different times, and it's quite a logical solution to come to this kind of like bop type walk, then does the bop as we know it kind of stem from a lot of people with back problems trying to hide the fact that they've got back problems? It gets popularized. Imagine you're standing there with your boy Darius or whatever, and you see some guy walking over and you're like, hey, maybe like we're gonna like run up on him, like kind of rob him, all this kind of stuff. You're watching the guy and you're looking at him and you're like, hey, yo, brother, that you there is crippled. And then your guy goes, no, man, no. He's not walking like that because he's crippled. That's just the way that some people walk nowadays. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you ever get bored of walking normally? Like, you ever get bored of just kind of like, you know, like some dickhead? No. See, this is like a new thing. Like, people like, they're doing this bop. Because if you can make it look cool enough, then you can get other people to start copying, and they don't know that you've got back issues, because that's the whole point. You've like tried to hide it up. So then other people start like walking that, and then it just kind of becomes like a kind of trend. So you end up like blending in. So like everyone's just there doing their thing, and they're all just kind of like some of them are walking because they're like sheep and they're following the trend, but then other people are walking like, I want to cry. But you can't let that show, so you got to be like stone faced, just And one more thing. Thing is, even with the bop, you still get tired. Like, you still kind of, you can only be on your feet for so long, you can only go so far. I was advised that I get a walking aid. I don't need to explain a walking aid. I was advised to get a walking aid to help me be able to go further. And actually, I'll even grab it. And you'll see my issue with the walking aid that I got. I got this from the hospital. Now, this is not cool. I don't really want to be walking around like this. If I can avoid looking like a cripple, I will. Not that I have any problems with people who are crippled. I understand your pain, your journey, it's difficult, and to be honest, there are benefits of this. However, this just is not cool. You immediately go back to being a target. Not that you should rob the disabled, but objectively speaking, the disabled are much easier to rob than other people. So, I came up with another solution. Instead, I got a proper walking stick. One, because I'm English, as you can tell from my accent, and this, I just think is pretty cool. Like, it's nifty. It's got some damage because I dropped it a few different times, and it says like, keep going, you know, just because I've got to have that memory to try and be like, hey, remember when you really feel like giving up, because when I say chronic pain can lead to some very dark places. I'm not saying that if you are living with chronic pain that you should unalive yourself, but if you are considering it, I get it. It sucks, right? Thing is, you have to learn how to walk with a walking stick, right? And how it works is you have to put the stick on the opposite side of where you've got the pain. But you can't step that far because, again, remember, you can't straighten your leg because otherwise you scream like a bitch, right? So you take a short little step and then you take a longer stride with the other foot because otherwise you end up walking like this everywhere, and that just takes too long. I'm impatient. I don't know if you can tell from the speed at which I'm speaking. You end up walking like this. That. Now, another small thing, notice where my hand immediately goes to. You're feeling the pain there, it's just like a habit type thing that you end up like kind of covering the pain where it is, so like you're kind of like trying to support, you end up walking like this. Is it just me that notices how that starts to look? Like that. Who does that look like? Pimps. Here is the other part of the unhinged theory, or here's the third part of the unhinged theory. Pimping is a dangerous game. If anyone needs to make sure they don't look like a target, it's someone who works in a world where you have to regularly be both bodyguard and accountant and all-round type player. I don't know where the accent comes from, but that's just kind of styling out the best of your abilities, right? The kind of pimp walk that you see people do. Pimps are just gangsters with back problems. Does that sound mad? Like, is it that crazy to think that that's the reason why they're doing it? And then when you think of like the other stereotypes that exist around like kind of pimping and all this kind of stuff, is like one, you'd be like, like that, you know, like that kind of like, you know, you're standing there, you're like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to try and do the accent because it just sounds weird out of my mouth. I can't even say the N-word properly because it's really hard to say it with this accent that doesn't have like a hard R at the end. Whenever I say it, it makes you want to write a strongly worded letter. Then also remember, like I said, I was in pain constantly, like all the time, and that puts you into like really frustrated state. You constantly have a very, very short fuse. From day to day, you'd be talking to someone and then they say some stupid nonsense and you want to just be like, bitch, bap, you know what, you know, like just constantly just want to, you know, backhand motherfuckers, right? Now, doesn't that also look kind of people like keeping your hand there, you're like, bitch, that whole movement, notice how the back stays completely straight. You know, it's like everything's like a big swing. Can't go, whoa. You need to do maximum damage, maximum effectiveness with absolute minimum movement. Think Bruce Lee 1-inch punch type situation. The power comes straight from the hip. It's just like, pow, like that. You gotta pow, you're like, ah! Rick James, ow! Like that's where that's coming from, because like I said, the pain comes out of nowhere and you're just like, ah! I guess my theory is that back problems plague Black America way more than I previously thought. And maybe they don't, but I feel like maybe we just need a few more rheumatologists and surgeons in black communities, and no one's talking about it. No one's talking about it, and someone should.